Everybody,
Okay.
we'll open the public portion with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, the first order of business is to accept the CSE, CPSE reports. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Dad. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And we have the minutes of the regular meeting from 10:21. Would anyone have any questions, comments, concerns?
I'll move to accept as presented, or approve as presented.
Thanks, Fred. Thanks, Mike. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Now we are up to Sydney, treasurer's report.
Hi. Okay. I was just looking at the fire safety report. Okay, so I don't know, just a quick update on the grants because I feel like grants are my entire world. That's just what I do. There's so many of them. Like I have 5 more to apply for right now. There's really like nothing magical happening with them. It's just kind of the interim of me applying for them, but there's a lot of money out there for us. And we'll have to put some information out on the website, just detailing our plans for the funds. So that'll be coming shortly. So we are waiting for the building condition survey to come back from our architects, and that should be coming any day. So that's Highlands. And when that comes back, we're gonna really start actively planning for our next capital project. We know we need to work on the roofs. And we're kind of waiting to see what's gonna come back in the survey to say like, these are other areas that you guys like need to do or could think about work. So, what Brent and I would like to do is start a capital projects planning committee. And we're envisioning some board members being on that, so 1 or 2 would be great. So anybody who feels like you wanna get involved in that, I don't think it's gonna be like an intense amount of time. Probably like 1 or 2 meetings as we just kind of get into the planning of it. So yeah, let me know if there's any of you wanna get involved in something like that. And then on buildings and grounds, I'm gonna start giving you guys the buildings and grounds information. It'll be appearing on there, so let me know if you have any questions. We just did fire inspections, and I know the high school is being re-inspected Monday. I believe it passed this time. I think I see you guys have reports in here that were walked in, so I'm assuming that that's all set now and passed. And Lonnie, who is our buildings and grounds supervisor, buildings and grounds and also custodial. So he met with the inspector from our insurance company, NYSER, and walked around, and they pointed out a few things that they wanted us to work on. They had some comments about some playground equipment that we needed to like take over the edges of some equipment, and remove a large tree that's on the playground in the elephant. So other than that, I don't have a lot for you guys. I feel like there are a lot of moving parts. So if there's anything that you feel like you want more information about, please let me know.
There aren't a lot of trees over there. Do we have to get rid of it?
They said that, yes, there's 1 large tree, and the way that the roots, I guess the swing, so they're supposed to picture a swing pattern going all the way around in a 360-degree rotation, and if there's any way that the swing could possibly hit tree branches, then we're supposed to take down the branches. But if we do that, then that's gonna kill the tree, so we might as well just take down the tree. I don't know. Lonnie was I can't tell if he was joking, he was talking about taking it down.
No, he was serious.
He was serious.
Yes.
Okay.
Right, though.
It's very good at it.
So
So,
playground saying it has to come.
yeah, so it does have to go.
Otherwise you just have, I mean, kids can't push quite that hard, right?
Yeah, just in case they went all the way around.
I think that would be the bigger problem.
They try, they have my house, they try real
Yeah,
hard.
my kids can get it pretty much nice, straight out, all the way around.
Yeah.
We can always plan another one.
Yeah, if we cut one down, we probably should plan on putting another one in, even though there's a huge difference in the size,
Yeah,
but it's not a bad idea.
that's a good idea. With the
But
fire.
it's
Yeah.
You can get them for like $0 from the Arbor Day Foundation.
Yeah.
Make it an educational thing.
I have a quick question. It's a nit, it's stupid stuff, but there's a thing listed as CRSSA. I can only see CRRSA.
Where is it, it's up in the grant stuff.
Well, it's actually within the
Where is it?
budgeting line
In one of the account names,
and account.
it should be CRSSA, not CRRSA, it's my own typo,
It is CRRSA.
it's CRSSA.
Really? What does it stand for? Because I couldn't find that.
Oh, off the top of my
No
head,
problem. just
I don't
saying.
know, but I could find it,
That's all right.
are you sure?
Yep.
Okay,
I just wanted to identify it. It's a coronavirus response.
yeah.
Yeah, because
It's one
it
of the
said
CARES Act ones, but they have
response
so
and
many
release
acronyms,
supplemental
I can't even
appropriation.
concentrate. It's one of the,
They call it C. It doesn't matter.
you think it's CRR?
CRR is what it said. When I looked it up. I'm sorry to waste people's time.
It's very observant of you, like.
No, it's OCD.
All right, is there a motion to approve the treasurer's report unless there are other questions? Nate, Nate, Nate,
It is CRR, you're correct.
thanks, Kate. All those in favor?
All right.
Any opposed? And then still on budgetary stuff, the appropriation status report.
I just found nothing in the questions. I'll move to accept the appropriation status report.
Thanks, Ray.
I'll second that.
Thanks, Josh. All those in favor?
All right.
Any opposed? And warrants? First one is general fund 20. I put a smiley face next to the $3.94 electric bill on page 5.
I saw
It
that.
it deserved a smiley face.
That's good. Under the employee health benefits, I know we're self-insured. It seems like it's less than we were paying for that. But it's early.
Yes, I mean, it fluctuates, but generally we're doing pretty well. Yeah.
It seems like it's a lot, this is just visual observation, it's a lot more different lines. Are you able to be more granular with how things are charged or,
Which figure?
it's 6 and it rolls over to 7.
So probably what this is, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this might be more, this looks like it could be more than one month. 10/21. It could be just for November, the way that they bill us. But they do break it down to a pretty granular level, sometimes there are like two people in a group. I don't even know if there's always like rationale for the way they put people. We give them to our insurance group as like actives and retirees. And I think they break them up between like, teacher retirees and teacher actives, and they kind of go between the contract actives and retirees, but there's far more categories than just the like 6 or 7 that I expect.
Right, but it's a lot less money, so.
So yes, this is an administrative fee that we're paying to our health insurance, as our third-party administrator for the health insurance, and that's why I looked at this as more than 1 month. So there's this amount that we pay, and there's probably stop loss that might be wrapped into this as well, our stop loss insurance, and then they also, automatically withdraw from our accounts the amount that is like the true actual cost of the claims for that week. And those are anywhere from like sometimes $12,000, which is a really awesome week, to, like 70 or 75, which would be a pretty exorbitant week. But for the most part, we're sitting somewhere around like 45,000 a week, which is pretty good.
And then if everybody's happy with that, then just a page figure on, this says C, mine may be out of order, but C10, so that's lunch, no?
Yep.
Yep,
That would be one.
put in the pages. We've got 13, and then 14 is C10. Okay, so it's just out of order. So 16 is F9. Federal funds, 2 checks. Any questions or concerns on those?
Oh, man.
And then lunch fund is motion on Warren.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Nice try. Thanks, Kate. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Recognition of visitors. Visitors.
Recognize all of them.
I was totally thrown off when I saw you in Starbucks. Is that Ben?
Yeah.
I think it's Ben.
That was a scary environment. Too many people.
Anybody online, do we know? Is anybody online, do we know?
We had 5.
But
We have 4. Okay. Yeah, we have 3.
we ask them in drops.
So no considerations. There's the consent agenda and there's quite a packet that we walked up to. Thankfully, Kat sent it all to us in advance. Thank you. Are there any things from the consent agenda that anybody wants to hold out for separate consideration? Hearing none, are there any questions on any items?
It's really, really difficult to keep up with bus drivers, cafeteria workers, and custodial workers who we approved a meeting ago or a meeting before that, and now they're resigning. Are we, I assume we're still able to keep an operation okay with,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. So, yeah, we are still, I can say fully staffed, all of us rooms are covered. It is tight though, we don't have a lot of stuff. Holidays, Friday, when we can, but it's bad. But, I would say we're okay.
Do we know why they're leaving? Is it another job? Is it just don't want to drive anymore? Do we have that data?
It's a fair question. So we're not getting as many applicants to begin with, so we're starting with a pool that's a little shaky. And when it's less competitive, people get hired that, just aren't as well suited for the position or aren't as good of a fit. They realize that and resign. We're still holding our high standards for our cleaners and that's part of it. If you come in and you think you found a job that's going to be, I don't want to say easy, I don't think anybody applies to give you an easy job, but it's just not what you expected. In a different year, different employee pools, that person probably wouldn't get hired. That's where we are now, they are, and they're finding out that it's not the right fit.
That's no consolation, but there's a lot of school districts struggling with that issue right now. I mean, when we travel south to see our kids, you see school buses pulled up in somebody's yard with, the big banner on the side.
It's
You
not,
go to driving
I was
for
just
the
gonna
last
say-
years and years, it's not.
when you first asked the question, I had to resist the temptation to brag. Because of the administration and the staff we have here, I think we're solid, more solid than most.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I really can say, we don't have the depth of subs that we want, things along those lines.
And I see we are getting stuff back from retired. He's experienced. So that's good.
Stay away.
Yeah, exactly, that's it, that's where we're at.
He likes kids and he likes a challenge.
There's no other questions on those.
I'll move it to accept.
Thanks, Greg.
I'll second.
Thanks, Greg. All those in favor? People?
I know you all can sign the unpaid school tax form for the Usenet.
The numbers, are those more than we usually?
No, it's very much in line. The uncollected taxes are actually down a little bit.
Okay.
Normally we're around 8.5%, and this year it's about like 8.1.
7.17.
Did you had 7.1?
OCD,
Just go
it
with
was 7.17.
go with detail or
I don't know.
Detail oriented. I like
Last
it.
year it was 7.17?
What we just got
This year.
Did
this
she
year.
put on it the amount that's uncollected? Because in my calculations, I had it around 8.
Okay, this was, I think the thing that came online. It doesn't matter, but it
It was,
certainly not.
down though. I mean, last year it was like 8.51, and this year I had it at 8.12 or something.
I took the sum of everything
Yeah.
that was gonna go to the county.
Oh, there's other stuff in there. There's state lands that are wrapped in that aren't broken out in the report, so I break those out.
You've got a CPA,
No, I just want more information.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
like-
yeah.
There's stuff. Mike, that was very, very astute of you to do some calculations. You really looked at it. You can tell.
Well, curiosity, really.
Yeah.
Because I know it had always been not that big, 11%.
Yeah.
Always been.
I'm sure Leonard's just excited for his training. Wayne, you're up.
All right, well, I'll start off by sharing that the state has released the scores from the 3 through 8 proficiency exams. And I'll just, as it states in here, the state said do not use this for comparative purposes or analysis. So to me, it's just like saying not to look at an accident. I got to look. And I looked at comparable districts. And in ELA, we're all right about the same level as far as levels of proficiency, percent proficiency. What really stuck out to me, though, was the math scores were very low. As a matter of fact, we did not have in Math 8, we did not have one student score proficient in grade 8 as a 3 or 4 on the exam. Now, in fairness, I want to share South Seneca had 1, Newfield had 3, and Groton had 8. So those are comparable districts. So they didn't do a whole lot better, but regardless, our kids obviously have a lot of learning gaps. And Kim and I have met. We had a conversation. Ben was involved. We had Amy Snell, who was our department chair, had an initial meeting talking about how do we remediate these kids, what's the best plan. Then we met with the math department as a whole. What we're going to do is we're going to have all of our algebra students, which are now 9th graders and some 10th graders as well, but 9th and 10th graders take the iReady assessment again. And actually it's going to take 2 days. They started today, they're going to finish tomorrow. And then hopefully from there we can find out and Kim and I went up and talked to the kids because we don't want this to be like the 7 and 8 exams where kids say, why am I even doing this? We said, look, I gave a pitch. This is really important, guys. We have some significant gaps in learning. You guys were out when we were out for COVID. We need to know where you're at. So hopefully they gave a good effort. They seemed like they got it when we went and talked in the classrooms. So they'll finish up tomorrow. We'll get the data from that. And we're going to reconvene the Monday after break. We're going to have a meeting with the math department, kind of go through the data, both collectively and also for individuals, and come up with a plan, a remediation plan that'll hopefully get the kids back on track. So just want to share that we've seen that. Obviously there's an issue there, and it doesn't surprise me. Math is one that would really be troublesome for kids when they miss so much school, so much time with their teachers. So hopefully we can get them back on track. So in the following years, subsequent years, we'll be doing okay. So I can keep you posted on that. And the second item is Cornell Cooperative Extension has bought the old Suttmeyer farm. I used to use Schumacher farm years ago, I guess. And that's going to be, I guess at first I heard it's an incubator farm, to help beginning farmers, get started, learn more about farming. But it's also going to be, it's being advertised as an opportunity for youth to gain interest and get knowledge on farming and agriculture. So we're very fortunate to have that in our backyard. Brent and I went up to their open house. We had a brief conversation with some of the folks up there, and we're going to be in touch because we would really like to have some agriculture programs linked to that. I mean, they're right in our backyard, they're right in our community. We're going to see how we can work together to maybe provide some new opportunities for our students. So that's exciting. And I will keep you posted on that, but I think there's a lot of possibilities up there for us, for our students. And other than that, have a happy Thanksgiving.
Question on the sort of remediation plan. Does that all have to happen within your 42-minute block of time?
Well, what's fortunate, we talked about that with the teachers. We'll get together and see where the gaps are, but all the algebra students also have an algebra lab that's involved. So one day every 6-day cycle, one period every 6-day cycle. So, I mean, my thought just right now, and I want the math professionals to be the ones to really, determine what the best plan of action or course of action is going to be. But I would think, they could keep on pace with the instruction now in the regular classes and maybe use lab for that remediation. Just my thought, but we will see after we talk to the teachers what they feel is the best plan of action after we see the results.
Thanks.
Hello. So we are excited to get
back up and running with field trips this year. We've already got, I think at this point, we've got 2 already scheduled. But we're running our field trips through city BOCES, and this is our first year doing that. They have a wider range of opportunities because the area is wider. So when you think about some of the opportunities we used to get within our region, when we ran them through our trips through the enrichment coaster, our TST BOCES, it was really within the Ithaca. Sometimes we could branch up to Syracuse, down to Binghamton, but now we can bring in authors from a wider range. So it's definitely to our benefit, and we're getting 80% aid on any of those trips that are run through the coaster. The 2 trips we have scheduled right now are for the beginning of December, one for 3rd grade to go to Roberson, and the next one is 6th grade to Wonderworks up in Syracuse. So we've got 2 trips planned already. We also run our merry-go-round playhouse through this coaster as well. So that's exciting. We're excited to get kids out of the building for opportunities and bring opportunities into the building as well. As you know, that was all on hold last year. So the Ela Committee and the Ela work, as you know, one of our big ventures is both of the new Ela curriculums. So we met as a committee to come together, and Sarah was a big part of this work as well, to talk about what's going well, but also what the challenges are to help guide our next steps in supporting the teachers with the work that they're doing. So the primary curriculum, Super Kids, positives, very engaging. Kids are super enthusiastic about what they're reading. We're really liking, and we knew this doesn't come as a surprise, the structure and the explicit instruction that's all in line with the science of reading. As you know, learning to read is a very systematic process. We really like what we're seeing there. And then it's comprehensive. So what I just talked about, those are things that we like with both of the programs. Specific to Super Kids, it's a very comprehensive program. It has very systematic assessments after every unit, so we're getting really good data. We know how the kids are performing and how they are doing with acquiring the skills we need them to. Challenges with Super Kids. It is requiring a lot of instructional time, as you might guess. So really the program at 1st grade, which is where it's heaviest, 1st grade is where most of the foundational reading skills lie, they're asking 120 minutes a day of instruction in ELA. Again, it's comprehensive. It includes reading, writing, everything that goes with it. But we're finding at 1st grade specifically, 2nd grade also, and kindergarten stretched a little bit as well, but that we're having to push into some of the science and social studies blocks at this time, because it's our first time teaching it. We're not cutting anything out at this time, and we may never. But again, and I did put a little bit of a solution there. The enrichment teachers are collaborating with the grade level teams to teach the science kids, those really hands-on, messy science kits that can be taught in the enrichment labs. So it's been a little bit of a solution and taken a little bit of the weight off in terms of time crunch that teachers are feeling. Another challenge, and this is really with both of the programs, and everybody might have assumed this, but our kids are being really challenged by reaching the level of text. When we have some independent text embedded in these programs, kids aren't quite accessing that text independently yet. So we're thinking about strategies, using a lot of different strategies. We've looked at some case studies about what the best ways are to expose kids to those texts so they're still gaining decoding skills. They still get the benefits of comprehension and vocabulary. So we're trying some different things there, but it's a challenge. Hopefully midway through the year, we'll see if the kids are accessing more and more of the text, because we are seeing a lot of growth. Now, side by side, 3-6, we again love the structure, the routine of the program, love the explicit vocabulary instruction. And what we're seeing with the side by side is a little bit different. It lacks structured assessments. And it's really largely based on our observation of what we're seeing with the kids and some writing. So right now we are talking about what assessment tools we can use that are linked with our standards to make sure that we have some concrete evidence of the skills that the kids are gaining. we know they're growing and we know they're engaged, but we need some, for the side-by-side, we need some more structured assessments. We may find that with iReady Standards Mastery. And then just iReady, I know I really can't say enough about iReady. If we had a projection screen and we could just go in and kind of show you guys around. And we will be holding a parent information night soon. So parents will have the opportunity to get in and see iReady. But I wanted to break it down into the pieces. So iReady, remember, it offers the assessment, but it also offers us some instructional tools as well. So the assessment pieces are the diagnostics, which all of our kids are taking in now, except for pre-K, so K6 and now, 6 all the way up to 8, right? So 7 and 8, and then you just have a 9th grade pod, 9th and 10th. So the diagnostic is being pretty widely used and all of the kids are taking it. It's the universal screener, both in reading and math. And then there's 2 assessments that fall under the diagnostic. One is called the growth monitoring, and those are like mini checkpoints in between the diagnostics to make sure, in a general sense, the kids are growing. We are administering one of those in the elementary building, K6 this week. And the standards mastery is another option for assessment that is used for more specific, to assess more specific selected standards, which we have not used yet in the elementary school, but we may be looking to use that in grades 3 through 6 with our side-by-side, because we're lacking, like I said, those structured, pinpointed assessments. And then the instructional tools that it offers. Once kids take the diagnostic, they are provided with personalized instruction. It's called My Path. So I took the diagnostic. When I sign on to iReady, the instructional portion of it, I'm going to be assigned lessons according to my path, my individual instructional path. And then it also provides us with instructional groupings. It puts our kids together in instructional groups according to what they need. There's a lot there. It's a really useful tool. Kim has been, in the last week or so, you've done a couple of different workshop trainings with them. And the goal is to utilize the pieces that we know well in the building and to help us with our 3 through 6 curriculum and make sure that we are getting some good assessment data. At some point, I need to either you need a side note in here in your about the math work. Maybe next week we can do an update, because Pete's been doing a lot of great work with the math committee as well. So I know ELA is a huge focus, but really keeping a spotlight on math as well.
Katie, with the ELA curriculum one, are they heavily computer-based too, along with iReady, or are they more paper, pen and paper, hard copy books, things like that?
Right. So Super Kids, there is an interface that there's a portal that the kids can interface with, and they're using it a little bit. There's a lot of songs and videos that the teachers are projecting. Even some of the text they're projecting, and on their smart boards, it's pretty interactive. So for Super Kids, yes, they're not on their Chromebooks.
But it's not sitting in front of Chromebooks.
Correct. They can do some assessment on their Chromebooks, and I think 6th grade tried one of them, and they kind of backed off from that. But for side by side, there aren't. There's some supplemental pieces of literature that, again, they can project and do some highlighting and annotating of text. But as far as the kids interfacing with the programs online, I feel like we're just so burnt out from it. Even when we do start to dabble in it, we're like, we've got our whole class for the most part in front of us. So there are some. I know for the pre-K program, they don't have an interface for Super Kids for pre-K, but there is some. We're not using it much just because we prefer not to.
Well, for K2, the handwriting and stuff is so important.
right?
I love the little narratives that are coming home right now. I kind of forgot about those where they take a guess at my family goes hiking or, whatever, but just the spelling and the picture that comes with it.
Yeah, it's huge. The writing part is huge. They really need that.
One question on the personalized instruction part of already, does that, time-wise, that happens during the intervention block so that it doesn't, because kid A could be here and kid B could be here, right?
So last year we were pretty careful about prescribing 30 minutes of ELA or reading and 30 minutes of math, and it all was happening at home. None of it was in school. This year, every grade level has a little bit of a different approach. Sometimes it's happening during the intervention block. Some teachers they have an hour for math. A couple of grade levels will do their math instruction within 45 minutes or so. And then they do some math centers so that kids have some spiraling skills practice. And that's when kids will work on their path. So we haven't mandated that kids are on it for 30 minutes a week like we did last year. So it's more of like a 15 to 20 minute average. Again, the Chromebooks are we're just a little burnt out with them. But yeah, it's happening throughout when there's, when it's beneficial for kids to be working independently, so a teacher can pull a small group throughout different instructional times, really. Sometimes intervention, but not always.
Thanks. Pete,
Right. So I outlined a few, some additions to the mentor program that I spoke about, I think it was last month. After talking with Jason and Pam, those bullets are some of the aspects that you kind of see as that we'd like to see in a JV varsity program. And again, those will sort of morph as we start getting more into the planning and preparation of what this program looks like with Jason and Pam. Our next steps are to set up frequency and duration of what this looks like, to sort of set up a structure. Right now, we're just putting together the outline. So we'll meet on structure in future meetings, and we'll see how that evolves. We're pretty excited about getting that started. And this is also beginning a lot of veteran varsity coaches in discussion of what they can do additionally in their programs to sort of handle what you said at the last meeting, how to get involved at the lower levels, whether that is through officiating or coaching, whatever that is. So there's a lot of great conversation happening since we've even started these discussions. So we'll see where that takes us. We had our winter coaches night, November 8th. Typically the winter coaches night isn't as heavily, parents don't really show up as much as we'd hope them to. You can see the numbers that came there. We were seeing that we had a few more attendees, but this gave us an opportunity to share some pretty important topics with the parents, in particular with the tryouts. We've had some teams that needed to make cuts this year, and we were able to be upfront with parents right from the get-go, right at those meetings. So they heard it at those meetings, and so far those decisions have been made for the most part as far as cuts. And I was talking to Wayne today. It's not like the old days where we stick out a roster in the hallway of the school and kids see their names on it. Coaches are having conversations with kids. It's not your cut and that's the end of it. It's how are you going to make the team next year? What can you do in the off season to make the team? So they're guided conversation, and they're done pretty well. Like I said, it's not just a roster stuck in the hall. Spectators, so we've, on the back side of your paper, you see we had some conversations about spectator and limitations this year. We really had to use what we knew coming out of volleyball season as far as the number of spectators in the gym for volleyball as opposed to basketball. Obviously basketball, we have pretty packed houses with their ability to 6 feet socially distance isn't as easy. So we had to make a tough decision along with some of the other schools in the IACs. You can see there's 7 total that have some sort of spectator policy or recommendation. And that really depends on what school you're looking at. There's 7 different policies. There's not a universal policy. There's a local decision that we just felt we had to make that was best for our district and our spectators. And as I've shared with the whole IEC and our coaches will reevaluate weekly if we need to. And we'll see what that's gonna look like moving forward through the rest of the winter as far as not just spectators, but spectator attendance. If we find that there's not packed houses, then, we could reevaluate and look at something different.
Peter, you're still, is it online still? So
Correct, yeah.
you're sure to continue that in as many cases as you can.
In the high school, all of the games are live streamed.
Yes, that's great.
And then the postseason congratulations you'll see there. I just want to give a shout out to volleyball and football that are playing in the championships this weekend. It's pretty impressive that we had the success in two sports to the extent that we've had this year. So we're excited. We're celebrating in the elementary school, in the high school, and over in Spencer tomorrow with parades and pep rallies. So it'll be fun for the kids and fun for the school community as well. So we're excited about it.
The games this weekend, our contests, which are all live streamed as well. You can't make it, you can watch it.
All right.
The volleyball is, you have to subscribe to volleyball through the NFHS network. They make you pay, I think it's $10.
I think it's $10.99 for a 1 month subscription, or there's the annual, which is like 60 or
Yeah.
70.
But football is free.
Are they gonna do it in the auditorium like they did in 2019, or is that, I don't know, what COVID?
That's a good question. That's something that I can talk to Brent and Wayne about to see how we could, I remember doing that and Holly just brought that up.
Yeah.
Didn't even think about that.
I think it was just Sunday though,
I
right?
think it was
They made
the
it to the
championship
final, the
game.
championship, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that is,
But
that was nice, and it was well attended. I mean, we didn't really have, wow, there was
Yeah.
live streaming available 2 years ago or not.
It was probably again through the NHS, whatever that.
Yeah, somebody had a
Yeah.
subscription and they just brought it up in the auditorium. Yeah, let me think about that.
Oh, it was Laura Corlock
Did
was
she
the
have
one
it?
who,
Good.
she was the one who organized all of that.
Oh, it's a good idea.
Just out of curiosity, I'm sure you get lots of blowback already about limiting the spectators. And maybe you're already doing this, but would it make sense to share with the athletes that are participating in our winter sports the policies of the other schools? So you said there's 7 to 19 that have limiting factors. Like I've heard through Great Newfield's not allowing any visitors in. Would it be possibly helpful for us to let our folks know Newfield's not going to let anyone in? So it just kind of cuts down on that.
Yeah. So,
Blowback they're going to receive.
yeah, so the plan is right now we're in the works to putting it in Schedule Galaxy. So in the notes in Schedule Galaxy, you can see, say you want to go to a basketball game, you look in the notes and it'll say no spectators or 2 or 3 spectators. And then I've also given the coaches the working document that all of the IEC is working on that says in Newfield you have this many spectators. It has our outlines there. And I expect the coaches to share that with the teams. So I did share that.
Is that the only school you know of that's not allowing visitor parents?
Newfield?
Yeah.
Did I say that publicly? Newfield? So far.
Any consideration to not allowing your parents to come to our games? That's your,
No, I want to be a good neighbor.
I feel that way.
Charging double, Josh.
Oh, wait.
Wait, we don't charge at all.
Oh, that's a good thing. I mean,
Yeah.
thanks, Pete.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, guys.
Angie is out, but we have her report. And Kim.
So I'm gonna just pick out a couple highlights. For the November early release day, that first bullet where I commented that the elementary teachers completed a brief standards alignment activity. So we've talked over the last year and a half that the elementary prioritized their ELA standards. And then Pete last year worked with the grade levels to prioritize math. But we're asking each month during early release day that grade levels look at, we just created a really simple document that has the prioritized standards by their grade with a checkbox, all digital, and to have the grade level have a conversation and reflect back were these priority standards taught over the course of the previous month? Just as a check over the year to be able to look back in June and say, okay, not that we're gonna change course, but at least we'll know where there might be some gaps in the curriculum, where there was a standard that we had identified as a priority standard that might need some more attention, or summer curriculum work needs to be devoted to beefing that up a little bit. Let's see. Second bullet, I have in bold the thought question that we asked. It was special area teachers at the elementary school, and then 712 in Wayne's building in interdisciplinary teams to ask the question, what are those literacy skills that you teach in your content area, or not even that you teach, which literacy skills should students acquire in your classroom when you're teaching? So it pushed a couple area teachers to think about that a little differently, but the premise really is, we need to all consider ourselves as we're all reading teachers, and it doesn't matter which grade level or what our title is, but we need to help our kids learn how to read. We're all reading teachers. And then the third bullet, it's more, I guess, just commentary of the structure from last month. We met again today just as a planning meeting for December's early release day. We've agreed that we want to keep the structures, meaning the elementary, we had set aside 30 minutes for these curriculum committee meeting times. So ELA math, and then I took a social studies science group. And then for Wayne's teachers, the department chairs had asked if they could have 30 minutes on early release days to do some of the specific department work and have their department chair or department meetings. So we're taking another step forward in December. We're going to make that time common at 2:30 to 3 so that Angie can have her entire department, special ed department, K-12 together, so that she's not trying to share information between the two groups. They can actually be together. And then we talked a little bit, we'll maintain the structure as best we can, but then also looking ahead to January, that we'd like to see pre-K-12 having possibly a vertical conversation by content area, so that we can have a representative for ELA from each grade level, a math representative, which we can use the committees that they've already formed along with Wayne's departments, and have a focused conversation, and then maybe set some goals maybe for March conference day. So that's the work there. And then Mike, thank you for asking us to present at the School Boards Association for TST. Katie and I presented. Brent was there with us, and we gave an overview of the enrichment program. And I guess thank you. It's always fun to be there. Secondly, it forced us to really stop and think as a team and ask some questions of, okay, what was our intent? So the questions that are bulleted there. And it's always interesting to hear the questions from the board members that are from other districts and just see things a little differently, or you leave and reflect on, well, what did they pick up on, or what question did they ask?
Thank you for both of you did an excellent job, and it'll come in the meeting minutes, I'm sure, and I'll pass it on to everybody. If you don't mind, your presentation was great.
Yeah.
And one of the questions they asked everyone was, what do you see in the pictures? And the kids were all hands on. And I thought that was marvelous, because it showed the involvement of them already working on an enrichment program. So I really liked it. Susan Tabrizi, who's the president of that group, said that. Thank you again. So,
Thank you.
very nice job. You get an A+.
No math, no. And no Ollie. And then we have Mike's report. Maybe I can email Holly separately. There must be unified resistance to these new driver trainings. I mean, because everybody's
Yeah.
struggling without that extra layer of rigmarole, right?
I thought she very cleverly said, when was the last time school was checked? It points out that there needs to be a better way of doing the assessments. You don't drive people away when you need them.
Thank you, Brent.
So I'm gonna start with the second bullet that I put down there. We know that we have been testing weekly, faculty and staff for COVID, that, either chose to or needed to. And then just recently, because of the work of our high school nurse and Amy Cornell, we were approved as a limited service laboratory, which means we can do more testing, do the rapid testing here in school. Once she and Wayne got that with the help of our school physician, our stumbling block was getting tests. A little slow, but they came through for us, and they're providing the rapid tests. We have a limited, well, I won't say limited. It's at this point an unreliable supply. The supply chain, I can't count on it, but we have had enough that if a student or a faculty or staff member were to have a runny nose because they were outside, well, a year ago we had to send them home and then we have to get tested away. Now we can give them a rapid test and very quickly know that in fact they do not have COVID, like 98% accuracy, I guess, or if they do, then that's more so. And then we can make choices that keep students in school or teachers teaching. If it's a student that we know has allergies and that's their normal symptoms, and in case by case, make that call first with their consent to the parent. The parent would be called first. But if it's child symptomatic and we don't know that for a fact, then we still ask them to go home like we would any other year until there's some improvement. But then they can return quicker. So that's a very positive thing for us. And as long as we can keep our supply of tests, I think it's a great service for the school community. The second thing I want to talk about, after quite some time, the policy manual for Candor Central School has been completely updated. This started before I came on, but that manual was gone through policy by policy to look for policies that had become outdated or had been superseded by school law or regulation, so there was no need for the policy, or if they were more than one policy, that was kind of redundant. So a very cleaned up draft version was in your packet tonight. I'm going to ask that our board president put it on the floor, that someone make a motion to accept that draft in draft form for a first reading, and then we'll make changes, take all of your feedback, and come back next month or next meeting to decide if we want to adopt the updated Candor Central School District or policy.
Did anybody have
Any questions?
Yeah, it was a
Oh,
lot.
There was
There was a
and you don't
lot.
have to read it out loud all that.
No,
Who do we forward the comments to? I guess that's a better way.
Yeah.
Oh, Kathy, thank you.
We can't see the smile, but I know behind it.
smile.
You know, it's interesting, I took the time to read through this, and so I didn't have time. I would have normally sent that acronym thing and the things that's thinking ahead of time, because you don't want to bring it on. I apologize.
It's okay.
But there was a lot of good stuff. I like the way the policy's written.
So why it came up, I want to thank Mrs. People. I know other districts that I've worked for, and will just pay somebody to do all that. It gets shipped out, and then you get that kind of a canned product. For not all of it, we obviously had our attorneys go through it, but so much of the work is done in-house. Savings for the district, and also you end up with better thoughts that because you know the district, how these policies apply to Candor, as opposed to a generic policy that could apply to any district in any town in any state. So it was a lot.
Nice to have you. Thank you.
So, I guess, what would you, our motion to accept the draft?
Correct.
of the manual?
For the first reading.
Thanks,
I'll
right?
second it.
Thanks, Mike.
So now, all 4 people who tuned in know you have that. So they want to talk to you about it. That's what we do.
All those in favor?
All right.
Any opposed? Are they, so back to the COVID testing, are elementary and or high school students
Yeah.
actively?
Yeah, so I don't have the number up to date. It hasn't been a lot, but it's been useful when needed. And we started out with Amy, our high school nurse, going back and forth as needed, but she can now train other people to administer the test. The district is a limited use plan, so she's trained our elementary school nurse and I believe
Jackie as well.
Jackie as well. Somebody else at the high school is Colby, yeah. So we'll have more than one person, so there'll be no delay. We'll be able to do it. We did have a student do a drive who had symptoms. Parents didn't quite know whether or not to send him to school, whether to call. Drive up, get tested, we had an answer, and go from there. So it really is a great convenience. And, you know, I'm sure we'll be able to keep students in school who otherwise would have to scramble to get to somewhere where they can get tested or stay out 10 days unnecessarily. That's what we think.
We had to get tests from the drugstore. A friend picked them up. And then my wife and I and our granddaughter all tested positive, despite all being vaccinated. And then we did the quarantine for 10 days because we had been vaccinated. And I had some medical appointments, so I checked with my doctor, and then I checked with the individual doctors I had medical appointments with. And one of them rescheduled. And the rest of them were fine because my doctor's part of UHS and they were too, so they were fine.
So yeah, at this point.
But having that in
Windows,
school
we
would
had
have been
school,
nice,
yeah,
yeah.
it would have been nice. I'm sorry, it came a little late. The biggest holdup was just, and again, I want to thank the county health department. They were scrambling to get them. They did get it, you know, they requested enough for every district in Tioga County. They didn't get as many as they requested, but they got some. They got them out to us, and we'll continue to get them out to us as they get them. So, you know, we'll help as many families as we can, and hopefully this test won't run out.
Is there a time limit on, like, do they go bad?
The
after-
shelf life, I don't think they do in any time period that we have to worry about, but I'm not sure. I wish Amy was here.
No, I mean, yeah, I guess what I'm saying is that if you do have a couple, you don't have a regular supply.
Yeah, well, right, I don't believe there's a shelf life that we're concerned with
Okay.
over the school year. If we have 40, then we'll just give them out as needed. We don't want to test anybody who just.
Is it-
Feels like.
Is it possible to get some through Postseason because Hopkins County, they have?
Yeah, so these are coming to the county health department and we're connected, even though we have a few referrals in East Hopkins County, we're connected to Payne County. Yeah, I tried going that route to see if we could get more in both counties.
Sure.
Yeah.
Any of the board comments?
Well, I'll give you a quick comment. I really enjoyed, everybody did a fantastic job as normal, and I appreciate it. I like the fact that you guys are already addressing the issues of educational, you know, what we're having as far as the students. Jumping right on it, and so like it's vertical. You know, if Math 8 has a problem, well, we're looking at the whole vertical assessment. ELA, math, whatever. So, kudos, keep it up, thank you. Everybody else, happy
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Enjoy your time off. I'm sure it's well needed.
Yeah.
It's a good payment.
We should make a motion to go, I'm going to make a motion to
have visitors again. If you have, did you want to say anything new? You're not part of our youth.
Yeah, no, I'm okay, thank you.
Okay, all right, excellent. Then with that, we will adjourn this portion, 8:06, and we'll head back to exec session. Thanks, everybody, happy Thanksgiving.
Neil, we're trying to be in your house.
Yes, we really are.
Thank you.